Hi guys, this is Ginjo from Londonsaurus, and today we're going to be talking about Demon Slayer Season 3, Episode 2. Please like and subscribe, it would really help. So let's go. Oh my god, this episode is a bit of a short episode, but an amazing episode nonetheless. We get to see new characters again, pick up from last week where we left off. Again, we get to see an animation of Muichiro in action, the Mist Hashira. Amazing animation. Once again this week. I'm very impressed. A bit of a short episode, 23 minutes. The last episode was 49 minutes. Very good opening for a good episode. But yeah, we focus on this episode mainly in the Swordsmith village, whereby we pick up from where Tanjiro obviously was eavesdropping on Muichiro and one of the Swordsmith village kids called Kotetsu. We see them arguing. Tanjiro obviously is staring at them, watching them. As brutal as it is, I love the way Muichiro's character was portrayed in the anime. Honestly, the manga again is quite a good manga. Obviously, the animation, when they showed the demons for last week, was quite amazing. But in this case, I'm going to play the clip for you now, for you to see a bit of it, how brutal and how they were animated. I love the way they did Muichiro's character. Obviously, this is the first time we saw a bit of him when we saw all the Hashiras in the last season, but now we get to see him properly. He has a dead expression. You can tell that he has, as Tanjiro said, he has no malice in what he does, nothing. He has just been trained and formed into knowing what his purpose is as a Demon Slayer Hashira. He is down to the T. He might be brutal to anybody now for the short term, but if you look at the long term possibilities of what he's trying to achieve, doing a bit of mean stuff now, like how he's trying to boss and put down this Swordsmith village kid to be able to get the keys to that trading machine that he wants to get now, to be able to do that, it doesn't matter to him. What he does now doesn't matter. As he explained last week episode, we get to see the back of an image, that figure that looked like Yoriichi's figure, but it turns out to be a puppet that was passed down from the Swordsmith village for this Swordsmith kid, Kotetsu. His family, actually, they passed down a very amazing puppet, as we know in the manga too as well, a training puppet that's modeled after the one and only Yoriichi, the badass of the badass, the one that has instilled the fear of God in Muzan's body himself. So not only that the puppet looks exactly like like Yoriichi when he was at his prime, it looks a bit beaten up because it's been passed down for 300 years. The technology that was used to make that puppet doesn't exist anymore. That is why Kotetsu, the swordsmith kid, was very adamant on not letting anybody use it, because once it's broken, there is no technology to revive it or to let it be used again. So rightfully so, he wants to preserve what has been passed over by his dad. So the Mist Hashira, Muichiro, was asking him for the key because he wants to train, and he's telling him, I have no malice, I'm not doing this, you should know your position as a Hashira. Any time I spend here talking to you and blabbering is wasted without me. I'm saving people's lives. I don't have anything against you, but this will help me towards my goal. And my purpose as a Hashira is way more than your purpose. He was being very blunt, horrible to him. Obviously, Tanjiro is listening, getting pissed off. We know your boy Tanjiro anyway. He's a bit of an emotional soul, but realistically, it's a dead world. You know, demons are around, people are dying. He's probably seen loads of death at his age. To become that big of a prodigy with natural latent abilities to be able to become a Hashira, but he has the most deadest expression. Even Tanjiro said, I feel no malice from him, I feel honesty from him, but he's just so extremely blunt, to be honest. Before you know it, this kid, he was trying to argue with this kid to be able to kind of get the keys. The kid was still giving him aggro. He completely held the kid and almost kind of choked him. Without knowing, Tanjiro just came out of the bush, tried to save the day as usual. Obviously, Tanjiro is a nice guy, holding him. But Muichiro immediately said, how are you even a demon slayer? You are so weak. How are you even past the exam? Can you even see? I mean, when Tanjiro holds him, Tanjiro has a very strong grip. But for Muichiro to say that, the levels of experience in their abilities is far beyond expectation. And Tanjiro notices that it's not even doing a thing to him. And this boy is not even that much bigger than him, to be honest. But yeah, before you know it, he completely knocks out the swordsman village kid completely to the ground. Tanjiro tries to come and intervene because of his being a Hashira and him sensing, immediately he senses something behind Tanjiro's back, which is obviously Nezuko. As a demon, he can be able to sense. He's trying to ask Tanjiro, what the heck is behind you? I'm feeling a demon energy behind you. I wouldn't want to see what would have happened if he had found out, because obviously normal reaction for Hashira, he would kill her, but obviously the leader of the demon corp allowed Nezuko to be able to live, so Tanjiro can be able to, nothing can happen, things are changing. Obviously probably might have done some dramatic things, which it wouldn't end well for Tanjiro. Obviously, before you know it, Tanjiro is trying to give him aggro. He completely knocked out Tanjiro with a chop behind his neck. Tanjiro was flat out passed out completely. When he woke up already, he had already collected the key from the swordsmith village. Tanjiro was very, very embarrassed waking up. It was extremely strong. He took the keys from and went to put it on to be able to start training with it. Obviously, not only this. I don't want to talk a bit more about this puppet. This puppet has 6 arms. Obviously the original Demon Slayer that was modeled after, the first Demon Slayer, Yoriichi, had 2 arms, but it was modeled 6 arms just for it to keep up with how Yoriichi used to fight, because there is no way that puppet could be able to mimic how badass Yoriichi was when he was at his prime, unless it had 6 arms. It was beat up, one eye gone, a bit broken, but it still worked. Even we see the Mist Hashira Muichiro trying to train with the machine. Even him was going toe to toe with that machine. That's how badass Yoriichi was at his prime. But yeah, again, very, very good episode. We get to see him train with it. We get to see him completely slice one arm off the puppet and take one of the sword. Obviously, the puppet has stopped working. It seems like for the puppet to work fully, the swordsmith village kid, Kotetsu, has to do a certain kind of notch to it. He has to twist it in a certain way for it to work functionally. So the Mist Hashira didn't really get the full benefits of working with the machine. But we get to see, after he takes one arm off, he says, I'm going to keep this sword. Obviously, my sword is broken now for some reason. Fighting that puppet makes your sword broken. That puppet must be on a like level 20 to be able to fight with. But yeah, so we see Kotetsu getting a bit depressed. He's saying, and Tanjiro is trying to tell him, listen, don't give up. It's not that you can't repair it. You keep trying to give a bit of motivational speech. The kid realizes what Tanjiro, and he gets a bit of backstory about Tanjiro's life, to be honest. You have to sympathize with Tanjiro. He's been through the roof. His parents have died, He sees a boy soaking. Obviously, he tells him a bit about his backstory. The boy gets kind of, inspired by Tanjiro's story. He wants to stay up, live up to his family's expectation, the swordsmith, Kotetsu, and also keeps on going, and he absolutely hates the Mist Hashira Muichiro, and he promises that he wants Tanjiro to actually use that puppet to be able to train to become stronger, so he can beat the shit out of Muichiro. Like, that's ever gonna happen. It will take Tanjiro a while, because that boy is a prodigy. But yeah, we see him twist it in a certain way whereby the puppet fully works, and Tanjiro starts training with it. Obviously, Tanjiro gets completely overpowered by the puppet. The puppet is on a different level. Tanjiro trained with that puppet for 3 days, non-stop. Tanjiro almost died. We see Tanjiro passing out, looking at himself, crossing the bridge of souls. But it did something though. Tanjiro was able to awaken his senses to a different level. We see Tanjiro dreaming, reaching out to take a stone, and when he wakes up from that dream, he passes out kind of like a phase thing where he passes out mid-fight, and when he wakes up, his senses, the latent ability of his senses in his nose completely goes out the picture. He's awakened the sense of his nose completely, whereby before he had very, very good sense of smell, but now it's completely awakened that he can be able to tell what direction any of the 6 arms are going to land from his smell. That's how epic that training has started. But obviously, we see Tanjiro pass out. Tanjiro gets a bit of food to eat too as well, continue training, and finally at the end of the training, we see Tanjiro again break his sword. That's the whole point of going to the swordsmith village, because the guy that makes Tanjiro's sword avoids him because he keeps breaking the sword. And obviously Tanjiro has all his swords turned to black because he's that sort of black is a sun breath user, obviously. But we actually get to see Tanjiro's swordsmith, but he doesn't want Tanjiro to see him because Tanjiro's going to mither him. But we see completely Tanjiro was able to land a hit on after he's wakened his full ability of his nose. Tanjiro was able to land one hit on the puppet after 3 days of fighting. Tanjiro also was able to knock the head off the puppet too as well, and break his sword at that point. Then we get to see the big reveal. In the head of the puppet, we get to see a sword. After Tanjiro sacrificed and broke his sword, at least we get to see another sword hanging there inside the puppet. And nobody knows what sword it is. Nobody even knew it was there. That sword has been there for 300 years, staying there. Obviously, don't want to spoil it too much, but the sword belongs to Yoriichi himself, the demon slayer that the whole puppet was built after. It's been sitting there for 300 years. A bit about that sword and what's going to happen. Obviously, Tanjiro is going to make use of that sword. It's completely blackened over the time that Yoriichi has been using that sword. It's one of the most epic swords in the fight. As a Sun Breath user like Tanjiro, original Sun Breath user, that sword is going to be monumental in regarding helping them fighting all the demons, and Tanjiro awakening that Mark II as well, epic Mark II as well, that we see Tanjiro in. So it's quite... We already know Tanjiro has visions of Yoriichi's self, so Yoriichi has passed his will over to Tanjiro, as we've seen already. Quite a very short episode, but very, very amazing episode too as well. The animation wasn't bad too as well, so hopefully we're going to see a bit more. And we get to see the Love Hashira, when the Love Hashira last episode told Tanjiro, obviously, that Mitsuri told Tanjiro that there was a secret weapon in this village. She's kind of like, what I like about Mitsuri is that she knows a lot more, but she behaves cute. So she's a world of information and power, but she doesn't take it too serious. This is the secret weapon. I think she heard it from somewhere, but she shared it with Tanjiro. I think she sees a potential in Tanjiro. So that's the secret weapon. And I think that's what Muichiro was looking for too as well. But it happened to be Tanjiro that got it, which is quite perfect too as well. Tanjiro is going to become an absolute badass in regarding that. Once in a generation, you get people that awaken black nature in sword. But this sword, it's not only black, because of the will and the use and the breath techniques that the original breath user, which is Yoriichi, that's used it, it's imbued with his techniques and burnished in a certain technique that it's become a dark red, kind of like a blood red. So Tanjiro can be able to use this sword without it breaking in the future. Absolutely amazing chapter. The chapter obviously ends there, but we get to see a bit more next episode too as well. We'll get to do a bit more review when the next episode comes. Hope you like this review. Please like and subscribe. It would really, really help.